Welcome back, my dudes. I was prepping for my family game the other day and I got to thinking about mysteries in D&D. Thinking about D&D is fun. And doing a cool cloak and dagger, nail-biting mystery campaign is even more fun. Right now, I wanted to share some ideas and tips I have for building a mystery in D&D that I've picked up along the way. So let's talk about it. First, NPCs. You need lots of NPCs to pull off a mystery, and you need to know their names. You need to have them written. You need to have them fleshed out. It's crucial that as you introduce new NPCs...
May we have your name?
I'm Isabel, the last living member of the Harshbarger Order.
that even the irrelevant ones are introduced and described and roleplayed with the same energy, the same vigor as plot critical NPCs. And keep notes on all of your NPCs and their interactions with the players. Because at the end of the day, you want your players to never be able to tell, never be able to guess which NPCs are critical to the plot and which ones are just there for background.
And look at you, you haven't even got a name tag.
Second, consider the actions of the NPCs and then work backwards from that. If they broke into a museum, what clues would they leave behind? And what would those clues say? What would it tell the players?
Adventurer, there might be some clues around here as to what happened.
What have we got here?
Work backwards from the scenes and the interactions that your NPCs have on the world around the players in order to tie them back into the main plot, the overall plot, in a meaningful way. And a very important one is to avoid the unexplainable. A great mystery is one that can be figured out. Avoid using some nonsense mechanic to explain why an evil villain standing at the top of a building suddenly disappears.
Imagination.
Instead, get into your books and find spells and magical items that can give them the ability to do that. This also doubles that when the players finally thwart them, you already have the cool magic items to hand out, because that's exactly what the NPC was doing to the players. In a recent story arc in my family game, I had a big bad evil guy that was using a cloak, a shadow cloak that allows him to misty step once a day. And so he used that cloak in order to murder one of the players right in front of them and then just disappear. So root your mystery in actual solid game mechanic and sound explanation so that when they do figure it out, it actually makes sense and they feel like they could have figured this out all along. Next, the red herring is a great tool, but it's also a slippery slope. You should absolutely include dead ends if you're trying to make a mystery they can solve. You see, the occasional dead end forces the players to backstep and try a different path, because if every step is sure to lead them to the next clue or the answer, then it's really more of a railroad than it is a mystery.
What about this huge puddle of blood?
Where?
Here.
Where? Here. Oh.
Yeah. You see that?
Someone's dropped jam on the ground.
So try to balance those dead ends, those red herrings, with relevant clues in order to bring more realism. Also keep a few loose clues in your back pocket, things that you can drop in almost anywhere. If your players are stuck, have a few rumors at the ready that maybe they just overhear as they're walking down the street to help point them in the right direction. And you want to avoid your players hitting that wall. You don't want them to come to a dead stop because they just have no idea what to do next. Because mysteries are fun, but being clueless is not. It's not a great way to have a great session. So keep the wheels spinning with an account of a dark figure in a cemetery carrying a shovel. And background noise is your friend in a mystery. It can be our way to introduce facts and tidbits and clues without your players even understanding that they're receiving a clue. It can be anything from misinformation to just a quick name drop. If your players are visiting a museum and they hear a tour guide lecturing on how the city was built on the ruins of an older burned out city, they may or may not remember that little tidbit, but you're layering details that could come back into play. And drop in details that don't quite make sense, because your players catching an NPC mistelling something is much more interesting than your players rolling insight. Whether it's somebody that your players are talking to that mentioned something that maybe they should have had any reason to know, or an NPC that traveled from one point to another literally all day and all night as fast as they possibly can, seemingly for no reason at all. These are the clues that your players may or may not pick up on. And if they do, they're going to feel straight up like Sherlock Holmes because they actually caught that detail themselves. It's going to change the course of their whole game. And flashbacks are a great tool. Your players are not going to remember everything. So when something happens that is actually explained by those background noise events, like the lecture in the museum, have them roll a history or a straight intelligence check just for fun and see who suddenly remembers that lecture and suddenly has it pop into their head. Flashbacks can also be super useful when your players get stuck. And keep in mind that it's important to discuss beforehand, usually in a session 0, if you're going to do a mystery style campaign, because your players are going to have to up their note-taking game. Much of what it takes to make a really great mystery campaign is highly engaged players taking great notes. So they have to be ready to channel their super sleuth every time they sit down to play. The goal of a good mystery campaign is to make your players, not their characters, the actual players, feel powerful and intelligent. You paint a picture that doesn't quite make sense and you leave breadcrumbs to help them figure out how to make it make sense. It's a fantastic way to pull your characters into a story and have them just dying for the next session because they realize something that they missed and they can't wait to get back in game so they can pull at that thread. Soon I'm going to release a video where I'm going to detail my complex cloak and dagger style campaign that I'm running for my family. It uses all of these tips and more in order to create one hell of a nice campaign, and I can't wait to talk endlessly about it. But in the meantime, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz, and just have a killer week. I'll see you guys next time.